Alright, so that was some of the opening scene there, and just to start off, we are getting around 30 to 40 frames per second in this opening shot here, and it is said that this scene here is probably the heaviest on your GPU in the game, and it's definitely cinematic fashion. Latency is up in the 90s, and I can definitely feel that here when I'm moving the character around. That's probably why they say use a controller. But 48 frames per second is, in the 40s. It's not absolutely terrible. You do have that delay when you are moving around for a story game here. Graphics did look pretty decent, at least in that opening scene. But the frame rate does leave a lot to be desired. So this is going to be our base point here, ultra settings, DLAA. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back to this opening scene here, since we had some good lighting and shading. And we are going to start by using DLSS quality. And we are going to see what that does to our frame rate and our visuals. So also, before I even get into that, this game does have some weird sizzling when you move the character around, and I will be using Framegen as well in this benchmark. So Framegen does not add to that bug, just so whenever you guys do see it, it's not a Framegen thing, it's a game engine thing. So we'll take it from there when we get there. But first, we're going to activate DLSS quality. Alright, so we are using DLSS quality to start, and that does boost our frame rate up into the 60s. Definitely a welcome improvement. Definitely looking a lot smoother now. Latency is taken down to high 50s in the mid 60s. A lot better. A lot more responsiveness coming out of the control and the movements here. This is what I would consider playable. At the very minimum, what I would consider playable, to be honest, at the ultra settings at 4K. So just walking around here in this opening scene, taking it all in. All the detail is still there from native, and even the little letters on the jacket, they still look really good. So yeah, I would call this a win. But what I'm going to do is just going to further use the upscaler and take it to DLSS balance to see what that does to our image quality and our frame rate. So I'll see you there. Alright, so we are at DLSS balance now, and just looking at the game, it still looks really sharp. The letters on his jacket, the numbers I should say on his jacket, they still come out. They're faded from the game design, but they still look good. They don't look extra blurry from the upscaler. So that's really, really good. Obviously, players on super large monitor sizes are going to probably notice. See, look, even the building back there, you can see the edges of the building look really, really sharp. That's really impressive. But what I was saying is, players on really, really large screens like 65-inch, 75-inch, whatever high they're going nowadays, you guys are going to be seeing the inconsistencies in upscaling a lot easier than somebody like me on a 27-inch monitor. So I really like high PPI. That's exactly why I went for this size of a screen. So upscaling doesn't phase me too much, because honestly, it's not my eyes. I have contacts on, and my vision was 20/20 last time I checked. So it's just hard for me to perceive it playing at an arm's length. That's all I'm saying. So anyways, back to the game. We're at 83 frames a second. Latency is now more in the 50s, still in the 60s, going on a little bit there. Sharpness is still really, really good. Maybe it went down a smidget if it can. If it did, it's going to be hard to tell. So I would say that this is a good base to start using Framegen once we get there. But let's see what the image quality looks like with DLSS performance. Alright, so we are using DLSS performance now, and it still looks pretty decent. I can tell probably a small bit of softening, and that's not distracting at all. Everything still looks pretty sharp as with the textures and everything. Lighting is good. The character models, I can even still see the numbers on this guy's jacket. They still come out really good. And it's stable. The image is really stable. And even looking at this building in the back here, you can see like the edges. They're really sharp. They're not blurred or anything else of that nature. So I would say balanced or performance is probably going to be a good starting point for, you know, getting the best bang for the buck here. So what I'm going to also do is I'm going to activate frame generation, and we are going to take it from there. Alright, so we are back, and we just activated frame gen at DLSS quality, and everything still looks good as far as that building in the background there. I can see the edges, they're really sharp, they're not ghosting away or anything of that sort. So everything still looks really good. I probably recommend this here as my mainstay. I am noticing some frame spikes here and there now, but I did also notice that even without frame generation on my first playthrough of the game. So, you know, that's something to keep in mind. This is Stutter Engine 5 at the end of the day, and sometimes it's just unavoidable. Really sucks. So continuing on here, I'm going to go down to just to go through the settings for everyone to collect their data. I'm going to go up here to the starting point again, and as you can see now, the stuttering is kind of gone once we moved around a little bit. And I'm going to go take it to DLSS balance with frame gen on, and we will see what that does. Alright, so we are back at DLSS balanced, frame generation on, and yeah, even right here you can see, when he moves through the trees in this scene, you can see some sizzling going on by the jacket. So, you know, that's something I also saw with DLAA, so don't blame that on frame gen, like I was saying before. If you go here where it's just sky, you don't see any ghosting or anything else like that. But when he moves too fast through the trees with the camera, you do start to see that. Hopefully that can be resolved in a later patch. And the game is just using 2x frame gen right now. You do have to go through the NVIDIA app to activate 3x and 4x, but I would say with a 5080 at 4K it's not necessary. Using DLSS quality or balanced. And 120-ish frames per second is what we're getting now in that opening scene there. And as soon as you move down the hill, you get closer to 150, 140. Latency is really great, 30 milliseconds. So I will consider this, you know, DLSS balanced at 4K, probably my best to go to with ultra settings. And so what I'm going to do is go back to our starting point here and click on performance, just to see what that does to our frame rate. Alright, so we are using DLSS performance with frame gen on, and over at this starting point here we are getting 140 frames per second. The building still looks really good. It still looks really sharp in the background. Once you move the camera around, the edges do kind of disappear. They kind of fade out. So, you know, that's something with DLSS performance. Objects all the way in the rear, they do get a little blurrier. So that's something that you have to take into consideration. But, you know, if you're not distracted by that, hey, more power to you. So I'm walking down here. We're at 150s right now as far as latency. We're moving up to the 160, sorry, not latency, frames per second. Going up to the 160s here, so that's all good. Latency is rock solid in the high 20s to low 30s. Absolutely snappy, playable. No complaints there. If you just want to hold on to more graphical fidelity, I would recommend going to DLSS balanced or quality. For a story game, probably don't need to max out your refresh rate. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to use my recommended settings here, because you don't need to have everything at ultra in order to get a really good experience. So what I'm going to do is go down here to let's see where I can see the gentleman's shadow. Okay, so shadows is one thing in games that absolutely hog resources. So what I would recommend is clicking shadows down to very high, and also reflections down to very high, just to give yourself a little bit of a boost in frame rate. So what I'm going to be doing is using my recommended play set for this game, which is quality DLSS and Framegen, and I'm going to optimize the settings. Right, so I just put shadows at very high and reflections at very high, and as you can see, there's really no difference. As far as I can tell anyway. I mean, you guys with the huge screens, you guys could let me know in the comments, with shadow quality. So I would personally leave it at this. And okay, DLSS quality, I can still see the edges of that building. They kind of fade out too as well, just not as much. But that's great. So playing it like this, 130 frames per second, I'll take this all day. And that's pretty much it for me. What I'm going to do is just leave it to the game to speak for itself from here on out. Just enjoy some gameplay. If you guys got some value out of this, please like, comment, and subscribe. And I will look forward to seeing you guys in the next one. Peace.
You must be lost to wander around Sinedra Forest. I'm afraid I have very little to offer. You're welcome to stay and catch your breath. Frankly, I could use the company.
Who are you?
The name's Ernest Cadell. My family has tilled the earth here for generations. When the Sabinian army dug in for the winter, they used our home as their headquarters. I wasn't here at the time, but my sons were. When I finally came back, the Sabinians were long gone. They left my sons' bodies in the forest. My only solace is knowing that my fourth son might still be alive. I hope he finds his way home, if he's out there somewhere. President Yanko, no matter how you feel about the bastard, he was the one that turned... I met this... I don't know much. I grew up now. I've always...
Hey, Gus, Arlo, Otis, please pick up. It's Atticus. I've been trying to call for days now. Phone lines keep going down, so I don't know when I'll be able to call you back, but I'll keep trying. Hey, don't go killing Sabs without me. See you soon.